Hello and welcome. If you're between the ages of 55 and 75, this video is for you. You've lived through decades of experience, challenges, growth, and transformation. Along the way, you've picked up wisdom, life lessons, and maybe even a few secrets that you keep close to your heart. Secrets you've accumulated over time, some good, some challenging, and some deeply personal. At this stage, you might feel the urge to share more of these experiences with your children. After all, you want them to understand who you are, what you've been through, and what has shaped you. It's natural. Sharing is one of the ways we connect and build deeper relationships. But here's the thing: not every story needs to be told. Sometimes, the best way to protect and nurture the bond with our children is to hold certain secrets back. Think about it this way: just because you've gone through something, does it mean your children need to carry the emotional weight of that experience? By telling them everything, you might inadvertently burden them with the past in ways they're unprepared for, or that might even reshape their image of you. Remember, the memories and perceptions they have of you are rooted in years of moments, small and large, that they've pieced together to create a sense of who their parent is. If we suddenly bring certain secrets to light, we risk shifting that image in ways we may not intend. Sometimes, holding back information protects that ideal, that strong image they have of you, a source of stability and strength in their lives. You might feel a bit torn, though. You've lived a full life and have so much wisdom that could benefit your children. It's true, many life lessons are worth sharing, especially if they guide, inspire, or reassure. But what about the darker, more complicated experiences? What about those moments of regret, financial strain, past relationships, or unresolved family conflicts? When you share these stories, it's not just words you're passing along. There's a weight to them, a story behind each one that carries its own emotional load. By sharing these experiences, you're transferring part of that load onto your children, even if unintentionally. This video is here to help guide you through which secrets are better left unsaid. It's not about keeping things hidden out of shame or discomfort. It's about understanding that some parts of our lives are simply better as private chapters in our own story. There are things that, when shared, could alter the relationship dynamic in unexpected ways or add an emotional strain that might be too heavy for children to bear. And while the urge to share is natural, so is the wisdom of discernment, the understanding of what to share and what to hold back. After all, what's important is the relationship you have now, the moments you share today, and the legacy of love and respect you leave behind. One last thing before we dive into the list. In this video, we'll go over 7 secrets you might want to consider keeping to yourself. These secrets range from financial and health-related to personal and family matters. But the final one, secret number 7, is something that almost every parent feels the urge to discuss, but is perhaps the one most crucial to keep private until the time is right. So stay with me, listen closely, and remember, sometimes keeping a secret is just another form of love and protection. Now, let's dive into the very first secret and why it might be best to keep this one to yourself. Secret number 1: financial decisions and struggles. Financial decisions are some of the most personal and impactful choices we make in our lives. They're often shaped by our unique circumstances, the times we live in, and the opportunities or obstacles that come our way. It's only natural to want to share these stories with your children, especially if they include lessons you've learned through trial and error. Perhaps you've endured financial hardships, periods where money was tight, or times when unexpected events, an economic downturn, a medical emergency, or a business loss, turned your world upside down. Or maybe there were investments you made that didn't pan out, or on the contrary, ones that did and fundamentally changed your life's path. Whatever your financial journey has been, it has played a crucial role in shaping who you are today. Yet, as valuable as these stories might feel to you, revealing them to your children can bring unintended consequences, ones that could change the relationship dynamic in ways that are less than beneficial. When you open up about financial struggles, especially if they're recent or ongoing, you may inadvertently place an emotional burden on your children. Money is a sensitive topic. It's loaded with implications of security, stability, and future planning. For many adult children, hearing that their parents are struggling financially, even if those struggles happened in the past, can create a sense of worry or even responsibility. Your children might feel compelled to step in, to find ways to help you financially, or to change their own financial plans to accommodate potential future support for you. While this may come from a place of love and respect, it could also bring about stress and anxiety, especially if they feel they're not in a position to provide that help. They may start feeling guilty about their own financial choices, wondering if they should be spending or saving differently to assist you. This sense of responsibility can create a strain that disrupts the natural parent-child balance, making them feel more like caretakers than children. There's also the potential for children to interpret financial struggles as an indicator of instability or unpredictability in your life. Parents are often seen as anchors, figures who offer a sense of safety and continuity. When you share past or present financial hardships, especially if they involve major setbacks or risks, it can subtly undermine this image. Even if your children don't consciously recognize it, they may begin to question the stability they've always associated with you. This shift in perception can be unsettling for them. If they grew up with the understanding that their parents could handle any financial situation, learning otherwise might cause them to feel insecure about their own lives or uncertain about the future. They might even start questioning their own financial decisions, wondering if they too are at risk of facing similar struggles. Let's also consider the impact of sharing your financial decisions, especially if they involved risks or investments that didn't yield the expected results. Many parents want to impart financial wisdom to their children, teaching them the importance of smart investments, savings, and caution. But there's a fine line between sharing helpful advice and recounting risky decisions that may not have turned out well. Suppose, for instance, you invested in a business venture that failed, costing you a significant amount of money and leaving you with regrets. While sharing this experience might seem like a lesson in resilience, it could also foster feelings of anxiety or doubt in your children. They might worry that they're genetically predisposed to make similar mistakes, or they may internalize your experience as a cautionary tale, leading them to avoid taking any risks in their own lives. By disclosing too much, you may inadvertently limit their willingness to pursue new opportunities, even if those opportunities could enrich their lives. On the other hand, if your financial story includes moments of success, such as investments that yielded high returns, property purchases that appreciated in value, or unexpected windfalls, sharing these details can also have unintended effects. Your children might feel pressured to achieve similar financial milestones, viewing your successes as benchmarks they must meet. This can create an unnecessary burden, especially if they're still working to find stability in their own financial lives. They may feel as though they're failing if they can't replicate your successes, leading to feelings of inadequacy or disappointment. The last thing you want is for your children to feel as though their own financial journey is a failure in comparison to yours. Each generation faces unique challenges and opportunities, and comparing their financial progress to yours can create unrealistic expectations and undue pressure. Another aspect to consider is how sharing financial details can blur the lines of privacy within the family. Money is often a private matter, and sharing too much about your financial situation can make your children feel as though they're privy to aspects of your life that should remain personal. This isn't about secrecy, but about maintaining boundaries that allow everyone in the family to feel a sense of autonomy. When you disclose specific financial struggles or successes, it's easy for children to feel as though they're obligated to give advice or take a position on your choices. They may start offering input on your spending, your investments, or your retirement plans, feeling that they have a right to be involved in your financial decisions. This can lead to tension, especially if their advice doesn't align with your plans or if they feel you're making choices that could affect them in the long run. Of course, it's natural to want your children to be informed about financial matters that may impact them, such as estate planning or inheritance issues. These are essential discussions that help ensure clarity and avoid confusion or conflicts in the future. However, there's a distinction between practical planning and sharing every financial detail of your life. Estate planning, for instance, is a constructive conversation that can help your children understand your wishes and prepare for any responsibilities they might need to undertake. But recounting every financial setback, risky decision, or windfall is not necessary to prepare them for these responsibilities. Instead, it may just introduce unnecessary complications into your relationship, leading to feelings of insecurity, stress, or even resentment if they disagree with certain choices. When it comes to finances, consider focusing on the values you wish to pass down rather than the specifics of your financial journey. If you want your children to understand the importance of saving, investing wisely, or budgeting, these can be conveyed without delving into personal struggles or specific financial choices you made. Teach them the principles that have guided you rather than the mistakes or successes that might cloud their own decision-making. By imparting these values, you empower them to make their own financial choices with confidence, without feeling the need to mirror your journey or avoid your perceived pitfalls. This approach respects their autonomy while also giving them the tools to navigate their own financial paths. Another way to handle this topic is to focus on universal financial lessons that anyone can apply. For instance, instead of sharing a story about a risky investment that didn't work out, discuss the importance of diversification in investing. Instead of recounting a time when you had to make difficult sacrifices to pay off debt, talk about the general principles of debt management and financial planning. These lessons are valuable and can be shared without revealing the personal details of your journey. They give your children a foundation of financial wisdom while allowing them to chart their own course, free from the weight of your personal financial history. In conclusion, there is a certain power in restraint when it comes to discussing finances with your children. It's not about keeping secrets for secrecy's sake. It's about recognizing that not every financial choice, challenge, or success needs to be shared. Financial struggles and decisions are deeply personal, shaped by unique circumstances that don't always translate into universal lessons for your children. By keeping certain details private, you protect the emotional boundaries that maintain a healthy, supportive relationship. You allow your children to see you as a source of strength and wisdom without the complications that come with knowing every financial hardship or success story. In doing so, you create an environment where they feel secure, respected, and empowered to make their own financial decisions based on the guidance you offer rather than the specific path you've taken. This restraint doesn't diminish the value of your experience, it enhances it by focusing on what truly matters, the lessons that endure, the values that sustain, and the love that unites you. By choosing carefully what to share, you give your children the freedom to build their own financial narratives, guided by your wisdom, but not confined by your history. This choice reflects a profound understanding of the parent-child relationship, one that values both openness and discretion, and ultimately, one that protects the peace, respect, and connection that define your family's legacy. Secret number 2. Past romantic relationships. Romantic relationships are some of the most transformative experiences we go through in life. They shape us, teach us, challenge us, and sometimes even break us. Over the years, you may have gone through your fair share of heartaches, heartbreaks, and perhaps new beginnings. Some relationships taught you what love truly means, while others showed you the painful side of intimacy, trust, and vulnerability. These relationships, no matter how far back in the past they may be, have each left their own mark on who you are today. It's natural to want to share these stories with your children, to let them in on the complexities of your romantic history so they can see a fuller picture of who you are. However, there are compelling reasons to keep many of these stories private, especially when it comes to the more painful or complicated aspects of past romances. First, it's important to consider what you're trying to achieve by sharing these past relationships with your children. Are you hoping they'll gain insight into the realities of love and relationships, or perhaps understand that you've had a life filled with rich experiences, growth, and transformation? While these are valid intentions, there's a high likelihood that your children will interpret this information in ways you may not anticipate. For one, children, even as adults, often see their parents through a lens of stability and consistency. To them, you represent a foundation, a steady presence that has anchored their lives. Revealing details of past romantic entanglements, especially if they involve mistakes, regrets, or heartbreak, can introduce an element of instability to this image. They may start seeing you as someone who's flawed, or, in some cases, someone they didn't fully understand. This shift in perception might alter their sense of security, as the stable figure they've always known begins to appear more complicated and vulnerable. When you share stories of past romances, you're essentially offering a version of yourself that your children have never seen before. For some, this might be illuminating, but for others, it can be unsettling. They may begin to see you through a different, less idealized lens, recognizing flaws or vulnerabilities they didn't expect. And while there's certainly value in letting our children see us as real, complex individuals, there's also a risk in sharing too much, too openly. By revealing the details of your romantic past, especially those that may include mistakes or heartbreak, you might inadvertently disrupt the sense of security they've associated with you. Rather than viewing these stories as life lessons, they might feel that their perception of you has shifted, leading to feelings of confusion, discomfort, or even disappointment. Furthermore, it's worth considering the kind of emotional weight that these stories carry. Romantic relationships are deeply personal and, by nature, filled with emotional complexities. When you share the details of a painful breakup or a relationship that ended badly, you're transferring some of that emotional burden onto your children. They may feel an obligation to sympathize, support, or even protect you, even if the events you're describing happened years before they were born. In their desire to empathize with you, they may begin to carry a weight that isn't theirs to bear, feeling sadness or frustration on your behalf. This emotional transference can create an unintended burden, especially if they feel they need to take sides in a story that only you truly experienced. In a way, by sharing your past pain, you're inviting them into a chapter of your life they were never meant to be part of, one that they can't change or resolve. There's also the potential for them to view your current relationships, including their relationship with the other parent if you're still together, through a new and possibly unsettling lens. Imagine, for instance, that you share a story about a relationship that ended poorly, and this story includes details about mistakes you or the other person made. Even if you intend this as a lesson, your children might subconsciously begin to question your current relationship dynamics. They may wonder if similar patterns exist in your life today, or they might become more vigilant in observing your interactions with your spouse. This is especially true if there's any lingering resentment or unresolved feelings associated with that past relationship. Your children may start seeing shadows of past mistakes in your present-day relationships, leading to concerns or judgments that were never meant to arise. And it's not just your current relationships they might start scrutinizing. Children often look to their parents as models for their own romantic lives. When you reveal past romantic struggles or poor relationship choices, they may internalize these stories, consciously or unconsciously, as a guide to what they should expect or avoid in their own love lives. For instance, if you share a story of a toxic relationship or a time when you felt betrayed, they might interpret this as a warning, becoming overly cautious or skeptical in their own relationships. They may even develop fears or anxieties around love, worrying that they too could make the same mistakes or fall into similar patterns. While your intention may be to share your story as a lesson in resilience or personal growth, it can sometimes have the opposite effect, causing them to approach relationships with apprehension or mistrust. Moreover, sharing intimate details of your romantic past can sometimes make children feel uncomfortable or even intrude upon their sense of personal boundaries. Just as you wouldn't want to know every detail of your children's romantic lives, they too might prefer a certain level of mystery around yours. When parents share stories of past lovers, mistakes, or regrets, it can blur the lines between the parent-child dynamic and make children feel like they're seeing a side of you they weren't meant to know. They may feel as though they've lost the protective barrier that once separated their lives from yours, leading to a level of intimacy they're unprepared for. This is especially true if your romantic history includes complicated situations, such as love triangles, infidelity, or other challenging experiences. While these events might hold important life lessons for you, they might be best left unspoken to preserve the emotional distance that keeps your relationship with your children healthy and respectful. It's also crucial to remember that every romantic relationship involves another person, and sometimes, by sharing details of past romances, you're inadvertently sharing stories that affect others. If your children know or have met people from your past relationships, old friends, family friends, or perhaps even ex-partners, this information could change their perception of these individuals as well. They may feel awkward or uncomfortable in future interactions with people who were part of these stories, seeing them through the lens of your past rather than the role they play in the present. This shift in perception can disrupt family dynamics, particularly if those individuals still hold a place in your social or family circle. Even if they don't, children may feel compelled to take your side emotionally, carrying biases that weren't meant to pass down generations. There's also the aspect of regret. When you share stories about past relationships, particularly those that ended badly or included mistakes, you might inadvertently convey a sense of regret or what if that can be unsettling for your children. They might begin to wonder if you're truly content with where your life ended up, or if there are lingering feelings of sadness or unresolved emotions. Children, even as adults, often want to believe that their parents are content and fulfilled. By revealing past romantic regrets, you might introduce an element of doubt, leading them to question whether you're truly happy in your current life or if there are unresolved longings that remain. This can be especially impactful if you're still married to or with their other parent, as it may lead them to question the stability and depth of that relationship. So, instead of sharing every detail about your romantic past, focus on the values and insights these experiences have brought you. You don't need to divulge the specifics of a painful breakup to impart a lesson about resilience, or to discuss every detail of a relationship mistake to teach the value of trust and self-worth. Frame these insights in a way that allows your children to gain wisdom without being drawn into the emotional history behind it. For example, you could simply say, "I've learned that trust and communication are the foundation of any relationship." Or, "In my life, I discovered the importance of valuing myself in a relationship." These statements allow you to convey meaningful advice without the need for backstory or personal disclosure. If your children ask about your past relationships directly, it's perfectly acceptable to offer a measured response. You might say something like, "I had some important relationships that helped me grow, and I learned a lot from each one. But I'm grateful for where my journey has taken me, and that's what matters most." This kind of response is honest without being overly revealing, allowing your children to feel they have a glimpse into your life without being burdened by the specifics of your past. It's a way of acknowledging your experiences without altering their perception of you or introducing unnecessary emotional complexities into their understanding of who you are. In essence, keeping your romantic past private is an act of respect for both you and your children. It respects the emotional boundaries that keep your relationship strong and avoids transferring unnecessary burdens onto your children's shoulders. It allows them to see you as a steady, reliable figure in their lives without the distraction or confusion that might come from knowing too much about your past romantic experiences. And it gives them the freedom to form their own relationships, unclouded by the specter of your past choices or mistakes. By choosing discretion, you protect not only your relationship with your children, but also their ability to view love and relationships through their own unfiltered lens. This is an invaluable gift, one that speaks volumes without saying a word. Secret number 3: family conflicts or rivalries. Family dynamics are intricate and often deeply embedded in personal history, creating a tapestry of relationships that can be as supportive as they are complex. Through the years, most families experience their share of disagreements, misunderstandings, and perhaps even rivalries. These are often rooted in circumstances that vary widely: sibling jealousy, competition over family resources, or unresolved issues passed down through generations. You may have had challenging relationships with siblings, cousins, or even close family friends, relationships that, at times, left you feeling hurt, misunderstood, or even angry. As you reflect on these experiences, it's tempting to share these stories with your children, not out of malice, but out of a desire to explain certain behaviors or dynamics that have colored your family relationships over the years. However, sharing the details of these conflicts and rivalries can have far-reaching and unintended consequences on your children, potentially impacting how they perceive not only you, but also other family members. In this sense, choosing to keep certain family conflicts private is often the wiser, more protective choice for fostering healthy, balanced family relationships. One of the primary reasons for withholding stories of past family conflicts is the risk of biasing your children's perception of other family members. As parents, your words carry significant influence over how your children view and relate to others within the family. By recounting stories of past conflicts, especially if they paint certain family members in a negative light, you may inadvertently pass down unresolved resentments or create biases that are not theirs to hold. For example, if you had a tense relationship with a sibling or cousin, sharing the details of these experiences might lead your children to adopt a similar stance, feeling loyalty to you and therefore mistrust or even dislike toward that person. They may begin to view this family member through the lens of your conflicts, rather than forming their own unbiased relationships based on their experiences. This could result in strained or distant relationships that otherwise might have been loving and supportive. Furthermore, family conflicts are often deeply personal and based on circumstances that may no longer be relevant. Sometimes, disagreements stem from financial disputes, personality clashes, or decisions that were made under unique, one-time circumstances. By sharing these stories with your children, especially those involving sensitive topics like money or perceived favoritism, you may be planting seeds of resentment that could disrupt family harmony. Imagine, for instance, sharing that you and your sibling had an argument over an inheritance or family heirloom years ago. While this might explain certain tensions, it could also make your children suspicious or even judgmental about their relatives, leading them to question the character of family members based on a single incident that happened long ago. In many cases, these conflicts have likely lost their significance with time and distance, and resurrecting them could breathe new life into tensions that no longer need to exist, placing unnecessary strain on family gatherings and interactions. Additionally, revealing family conflicts can lead to a sense of divided loyalty, putting your children in the uncomfortable position of feeling they need to choose sides. If you share your grievances with them, even subtly, they may feel a responsibility to support you by adopting your perspective or distancing themselves from those you have had issues with. This can be especially challenging if they have already established their own positive relationships with the family members involved. Children, regardless of age, often feel a deep-rooted loyalty to their parents, and if they sense that siding with a particular family member might hurt you, they may suppress their own feelings or connections out of respect for you. This kind of emotional conflict can lead to internal turmoil as they try to navigate their love and loyalty to you without compromising their own genuine relationships with other relatives. By keeping certain conflicts private, you protect them from this inner struggle, allowing them to maintain connections without feeling divided or torn between loyalties. Let's also consider how sharing family conflicts can sometimes create a negative cycle, where resentments or grudges are passed down unintentionally. When children hear stories of betrayal or mistreatment within the family, they may start viewing family gatherings or relationships through a critical lens, always on guard or looking for signs of potential conflict. Instead of fostering a warm, open approach to family, they might become guarded, cynical, or hesitant to fully engage with certain family members. This is especially true if the conflicts you share involve members of the family they admire or feel close to. Knowing that there were past issues could make them question their judgment or feel insecure about their own ability to trust and connect with these relatives. This guardedness can affect not only their present relationships, but also the way they approach family as a whole, casting a shadow over family interactions that should be characterized by warmth, understanding, and mutual respect. Another important consideration is that some family conflicts are simply better left in the past. As time passes, we grow, change, and, hopefully, learn to forgive and move on. By reviving these old stories, you might unintentionally reopen wounds that had been healing both for yourself and for other family members. There's a therapeutic power in letting go of past hurts, in choosing to focus on the present and the ways you can contribute to family harmony now. When you bring up old conflicts, especially those that have been dormant for years, you risk reopening old issues, not only in your own heart, but potentially in the hearts of others as well. Family members might hear of your disclosures and feel hurt, misunderstood, or resentful all over again. Even if they never find out, reviving these memories could keep old tensions alive in your mind, making it harder for you to engage in present relationships with an open heart. If there are lessons to be shared from these conflicts, consider focusing on the principles you learned rather than the specifics of the events. For instance, if a family rivalry taught you the importance of boundaries, forgiveness, or open communication, share those values with your children in a general sense. Tell them about the value of maintaining strong relationships, of resolving issues early rather than letting them fester, and of seeing things from others' perspectives. These lessons are invaluable, and by sharing them as principles rather than personal stories, you're able to impart wisdom without the weight of bias, resentment, or past grievances. This approach allows your children to benefit from your experiences in a positive, constructive way, rather than feeling drawn into conflicts that are not their own. It's also worth noting that your children may have picked up on some of these family tensions themselves over the years. Rather than elaborating on past grievances, you could choose to model forgiveness, acceptance, and resilience in the way you interact with family members today. Children often learn more from what they observe than what they're told, so showing them how you've moved on from past conflicts can be more powerful than any story of past grudges or betrayals. When they see you approach family gatherings with openness, kindness, and patience, they'll be inspired to do the same. This is a gift that has far-reaching benefits, teaching them how to navigate their own relationships with grace and understanding. In conclusion, while family conflicts are part of every family's story, not all of them need to be shared or passed down. Keeping these stories private isn't about hiding the truth or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about protecting the positive relationships your children can build within the family. It's about letting go of past grievances so that the future can be free of unnecessary tensions and biases. By choosing to hold back on sharing these conflicts, you create a healthier, more harmonious family environment, one where relationships can flourish free from the shadows of the past. In doing so, you empower your children to connect with their relatives authentically and to experience family as a source of support and unity, rather than a web of conflicts and rivalries. This choice not only preserves the integrity of your own experiences, but also strengthens the foundation of love and respect that every family truly needs. Secret number 4: personal regrets and what-ifs. Every person accumulates regrets and what-if moments over a lifetime. As you look back on your life, it's natural to think about the paths not taken, the dreams that may have gone unrealized, or the choices that led you away from what might have been. These regrets could range from career decisions, missed opportunities, or perhaps even personal goals that were set aside in favor of family responsibilities. And as you reflect on these moments, there may be a strong temptation to share these personal reflections with your children. You might feel that by sharing your regrets, you're offering them a lesson in the importance of following their dreams or being mindful of their decisions. However, as well-intentioned as this may be, sharing too much about your personal regrets can bring about unintended emotional consequences, burdening your children with an unnecessary sense of responsibility or guilt and possibly impacting the choices they make in their own lives. Consider for a moment how sharing these regrets might be received by your children. When they hear about dreams you left behind or paths you wish you had taken, they may interpret these reflections as personal sacrifices you made for their sake. Even if you never intended them to feel this way, the idea that their parent might have chosen a different life or that certain ambitions were set aside to care for the family can create a heavy emotional weight. Children, regardless of age, often carry an innate sense of responsibility toward their parents, and upon hearing these regrets, they might feel a pang of guilt or remorse, wondering if they were the reason you didn't pursue certain dreams, or if they somehow held you back from living the life you envisioned for yourself. This can lead them to feel as though they owe you something, fostering a sense of duty or indebtedness that could influence their own life choices in ways that are not truly in line with their desires. Another potential outcome of sharing your regrets with your children is the impact it may have on their own ambitions and dreams. When you open up about missed opportunities or unfulfilled goals, they might begin to internalize a sense of fear or caution, worried that they too might end up with similar regrets if they don't make the right choices. Instead of feeling inspired by your story, they could become overly cautious, afraid of taking risks, or, conversely, feel pressured to achieve a level of success that fulfills not only their own aspirations, but also the unachieved dreams you once had. This can create an unrealistic burden, as they may feel an unspoken need to make up for what you didn't accomplish, driving them to pursue paths that may not align with their own true passions or desires. They may even feel conflicted between following their hearts and making choices they think would make you proud, leading to internal turmoil and a sense of duty that clouds their judgment. Additionally, sharing these personal regrets can shift their perspective on your life as a whole. Children naturally want to believe that their parents are content and fulfilled, that the sacrifices made over the years were worthwhile and led to a life well lived. When you share stories of regret or wistful longing for a different path, it can create a shadow over this image. Your children may start to view your life as one filled with unfulfilled potential, which can evoke a sense of sadness or sympathy that they may carry with them. Instead of seeing you as a figure of strength and resilience, they might focus on the missed opportunities, imagining you as someone who feels incomplete or unsatisfied with the life that unfolded. This shift in perception can affect how they relate to you, creating an emotional distance as they struggle to reconcile their idealized image of you with the reality of your regrets. Moreover, these regrets can act as silent expectations. Even if you don't intend for your children to interpret them this way, by sharing your what-ifs, you might subtly communicate a sense of unfinished business that they feel responsible for. They may take on an unspoken mission to achieve the dreams you couldn't, feeling that they're somehow continuing your story by living out the life you once wanted. While this might sound inspiring, it can actually become a significant emotional burden as they try to balance their own dreams with what they perceive as completing your legacy. This can lead to confusion and internal conflict as they grapple with the pressure to fulfill both their own ambitions and those you may have expressed but never achieved. It's a weight that can become overwhelming, influencing their choices in ways that are not truly authentic to who they are. One of the most powerful gifts you can give your children is the freedom to make their own choices without the shadow of your regrets influencing their paths. Instead of sharing the specifics of what you wish you had done differently, focus on the values and insights you gained through the life you did lead. For instance, if you regret not pursuing a particular career, you could talk about the importance of pursuing one's passions or the value of setting personal goals. Frame these reflections in a way that highlights the lessons rather than the regrets themselves. This approach allows you to share meaningful insights without placing the weight of your unfulfilled dreams on their shoulders. By emphasizing values over specifics, you empower them to make choices with clarity and purpose, based on their own dreams, rather than feeling the need to carry on the aspirations you once held. There's also value in modeling acceptance and contentment with the life you chose. Regrets are a natural part of life, but they don't have to define it. By showing your children that you found peace with your decisions, even if there were things left undone, you teach them the power of resilience and self-acceptance. You demonstrate that life is not about achieving every goal, but about finding meaning and fulfillment in the journey itself. This perspective can be immensely freeing for your children, as it reassures them that it's okay to have regrets as long as they embrace their lives with gratitude and focus on what truly matters to them. By embodying a sense of satisfaction with your life, you model the idea that happiness isn't about a checklist of accomplishments, but about finding joy and purpose in the path you've taken. If your children ever ask about your what-ifs, it's perfectly fine to acknowledge them without delving into specifics. You might say something like, "There were paths I didn't take, but I believe that each choice brought me to where I am today, and I'm grateful for that." This response is honest yet reassuring, allowing them to understand that, like everyone, you have reflections on the road not taken, but that you don't dwell on them. It reassures them that the life you've lived is one you value and that they don't need to feel burdened by any perceived unfinished business. This simple acknowledgement respects their curiosity while maintaining the boundaries that keep your relationship healthy and grounded in the present. Ultimately, choosing to keep personal regrets private isn't about hiding anything. It's about protecting the future from the past. It's about letting your children live their own lives, unencumbered by the paths you wish you'd taken, and free from the need to right anything on your behalf. By choosing to frame your reflections in terms of the lessons and values you want to pass down, you give them a foundation of wisdom without the baggage of regret. This choice allows them to approach their lives with confidence, knowing that they can pursue their own dreams without the pressure of carrying forward yours. In the end, every life has its share of what-ifs, but the beauty of life lies in the journey itself, not in the paths we didn't take. By choosing to accept and find peace with your own journey, you give your children the greatest gift of all, the freedom to shape their own lives, driven by their aspirations and dreams, unclouded by the shadows of your past. This approach not only strengthens your relationship with them, but also allows your legacy to be one of strength, resilience, and unconditional love, a legacy that transcends any regrets and builds a foundation of trust, respect, and mutual understanding that will carry on for generations. Secret number 5. Health concerns before they're certain. As we get older, health becomes a topic that's increasingly difficult to ignore. You may find yourself noticing changes, some subtle and some more pronounced, that remind you of the inevitable march of time. It's natural to want to keep your family informed about your health, especially as certain concerns arise or medical appointments become more frequent. After all, your children care deeply about you, and it's reasonable to think that they should know about your health issues as they come up. However, sharing every health concern, especially those that are still uncertain or unconfirmed, can have significant consequences on your children's emotional well-being, and on the family dynamic as a whole. In many cases, holding back on discussing unconfirmed health issues until there's clear information can actually help protect your family from unnecessary stress and foster a more supportive, balanced relationship. One of the main reasons to consider keeping potential health concerns private until they're confirmed is the impact it can have on your children's mental and emotional state. Imagine, for instance, mentioning to your children that you're experiencing a new symptom or that you're undergoing tests to determine if something might be wrong. While you may think they'll simply take it as an update, in reality, the response is often far more intense. For many adult children, hearing that their parent might be facing a serious health issue triggers deep-seated anxieties, fears, and worries. They may immediately begin to picture the worst-case scenarios, imagining a future where they have to navigate life without you or take on a caregiving role. This fear can become all-consuming as they imagine outcomes that might never come to pass. By sharing health concerns before they're confirmed, you're inviting your children into a state of uncertainty and fear, creating emotional turmoil that could have been avoided with a little more patience. Sharing unconfirmed health concerns can also disrupt your children's own lives, especially if they live far away or are already balancing numerous responsibilities. Many adult children are juggling careers, families, and personal commitments, and adding the worry of an unknown health issue with a parent can throw everything off balance. They may feel compelled to check in more frequently, visit more often, or spend hours online researching symptoms and treatments, all actions that stem from love and concern, but which may add unnecessary stress to their lives. By keeping them in a state of suspense, you may inadvertently create an environment where they're constantly waiting for updates, unable to fully focus on their own responsibilities and personal lives. The desire to be there for you might lead them to overextend themselves, sacrificing their own well-being as they try to offer support for a health issue that may not even be a confirmed reality. Another consequence of sharing health concerns prematurely is that it can shift the relationship dynamic in ways that are hard to reverse. When children perceive their parents as vulnerable or frail, they may unconsciously start taking on a protective or even parental role, attempting to shield you from stress, making decisions on your behalf, or monitoring you in ways that may feel intrusive. While this shift often comes from a place of love, it can feel unsettling and may undermine the independence you've maintained throughout your life. When children feel compelled to step into a caretaking role prematurely, it disrupts the natural balance of your relationship, leading them to view you as someone in need of constant support rather than as the capable, independent person you've always been. This shift can be uncomfortable for both sides, as it introduces a new dynamic where the child is now the one guiding, protecting, or even managing aspects of your life, an experience that may feel premature or unnecessary if the health concern turns out to be minor or manageable. Moreover, discussing unconfirmed health issues can cause lasting emotional effects, especially if the issue ultimately turns out to be minor or a false alarm. Imagine, for example, that you share concerns about a potentially serious condition only for tests to reveal that the issue is benign or easily treatable. While you may feel relieved, your children might still carry residual anxiety, finding it hard to fully let go of the fear that something could still be wrong. These kinds of scares leave a lasting impression, embedding a sense of vulnerability or insecurity in your children's minds that can resurface every time you mention a new health concern in the future. This can lead to a cycle where even minor health updates elicit heightened responses from your children as they brace themselves for potential bad news based on past scares. By withholding unconfirmed information, you protect them from this roller coaster of emotions, preserving their peace of mind until there's a clear understanding of what's actually at stake. If and when a health issue is confirmed, sharing it with your children can be done in a way that is constructive and supportive. When you have clear information, an official diagnosis, a treatment plan, or a prognosis, you're able to offer your children a complete picture. Rather than leaving them in the dark about unknowns or possibilities, you can provide them with the information they need to process the situation calmly and rationally. This approach enables them to support you from a place of strength rather than fear, as they know exactly what they're dealing with and how they can be of help. It also allows you to answer their questions more fully, addressing their concerns with facts rather than speculation. This is particularly important for adult children who may need to make practical decisions, such as adjusting work schedules, arranging for support, or making travel plans. Clear, confirmed information empowers them to make thoughtful choices rather than reactive ones based on worry and uncertainty. In cases where you feel a strong need to share a concern, even before it's fully understood, consider framing it in a way that minimizes fear. For instance, if you're undergoing a routine checkup or a test for a common issue, you might say something like, "I'm having some routine tests done, just to be cautious. I'll keep you updated once I know more, but for now, there's nothing to worry about." This type of reassurance sets the tone, letting them know that while there's something in process, it isn't necessarily something to be alarmed about. It's a way of keeping them informed without introducing unnecessary worry. This approach communicates both transparency and responsibility, showing that you're taking care of your health without drawing them into a state of vigilance over unconfirmed concerns. Another key aspect to consider is maintaining your own mental and emotional clarity during uncertain health periods. Health scares are unsettling for anyone, and it's natural to feel a mixture of anxiety, impatience, and even frustration as you await results or next steps. By not immediately sharing every health concern, you give yourself the space to process these emotions without magnifying them through the concerns of your children. This private period allows you to approach the situation with calmness, focusing on managing your stress and gathering the strength needed to face whatever the outcome may be. When you do share the information, you'll be doing so from a place of stability, helping your children absorb the news without feeling the need to manage your emotions on top of their own. This resilience sets an example, showing them that while health is a sensitive matter, it can be faced with patience, courage, and a level head. Ultimately, by choosing to wait until health issues are confirmed before sharing, you're preserving the integrity of your family relationships. You're keeping the balance between support and independence intact, allowing your children to be there for you without overburdening them with uncertainty and worry. This approach respects both their emotional boundaries and your autonomy, keeping the relationship dynamic grounded in mutual respect. It also allows you to focus on what truly matters, the time you have together, spent not in fear or anxiety, but in gratitude and connection. This choice, to withhold uncertain health information until it's confirmed, is a profound act of care. It ensures that when your children do step in to support you, they do so from a place of love and clarity, fully understanding the situation and ready to be the steady presence you might need. By controlling when and how they receive health information, you're protecting not only their peace of mind, but also your own dignity, autonomy, and the positive relationship you've built over the years. In the end, Keeping unconfirmed health concerns private until there's concrete information is not about secrecy. It's about wisdom, compassion, and the recognition that sometimes love is best expressed through patience and the preservation of peace. Secret number 6. Private aspirations you had for your children. As parents, it's only natural to have dreams and aspirations for your children. From the moment they were born, you may have envisioned the kind of life you hoped they'd lead, the milestones they'd achieve, and the kind of people they'd become. Over the years, these dreams may have evolved and shifted, shaped by the unique qualities and interests each child displayed as they grew. Perhaps you imagined them pursuing a particular career, starting a family of their own, or living in a certain place. These private aspirations are a testament to the depth of love you feel, reflecting your desire for them to lead fulfilling, meaningful lives. However, as much as you may want to share these dreams and let them know the hopes you've held for them, doing so can create a subtle but profound impact on how they view their own choices, possibly shaping their lives in ways that don't truly align with who they are or what they want. The desire to see your children thrive and achieve their potential is a powerful motivator, but when these hopes and dreams are shared too openly, they can begin to feel like expectations, even if that was never your intention. Imagine, for example, that you always hoped your child would follow a particular career path, a profession that you felt would bring them stability, respect, and financial security. If you openly express this desire, even gently, they might feel a sense of pressure to fulfill that role, regardless of whether it's aligned with their own passions or interests. Children, even as adults, often feel a strong need to make their parents proud. When they sense that you have a specific path in mind for them, they may struggle internally with a conflict between what they want and what they think would make you happiest. This inner tension can become a silent burden, leading them to pursue goals that aren't truly their own, all out of a desire to meet what they perceive as your expectations. Sharing your dreams for your children can also subtly influence their self-perception and self-worth. When they hear about the aspirations you held, they might interpret any divergence from that path as a form of disappointment, even if you never explicitly express it. For instance, if you always dreamed of them having a family, but they've chosen a different lifestyle, they might feel as though they've let you down, questioning if their choices have impacted your happiness. This feeling of disappointing a parent can be deeply ingrained, creating a sense of guilt or inadequacy that lingers over their own achievements. Instead of celebrating their individuality and personal milestones, they may constantly feel as though they're missing the mark, measuring themselves against a standard they didn't set but feel bound to nonetheless. By keeping these aspirations private, you allow your children the freedom to define success on their own terms, free from the weight of perceived parental disappointment. Another effect of sharing private aspirations is that it can sometimes stifle their exploration and personal growth. When children know that their parents envision a particular path for them, they might become hesitant to try new things or explore alternative paths, out of fear that doing so might distance them from their parents' approval. This fear can be especially strong if they sense that your dreams for them were born out of love and concern for their well-being. In their effort to protect that bond, they may limit themselves, staying within the boundaries they think you would find acceptable. Over time, this can stifle their personal growth, preventing them from discovering who they truly are and what they're capable of. By keeping your aspirations private, you give them the space to explore life's possibilities without the fear of letting you down, encouraging them to take risks and embrace the unknown with confidence. Furthermore, when you share specific hopes and dreams, It can introduce an unintentional hierarchy of values, suggesting that certain life choices are more worthy of praise or approval than others. For instance, if you express a strong desire for them to achieve certain professional success, they might internalize the idea that success is measured by status or income. Similarly, if your dreams emphasize family life, they might feel that their self-worth is tied to traditional roles or milestones, such as marriage or parenthood. This hierarchy of values can limit their ability to assess their own happiness independently, leading them to pursue validation in ways that may not resonate with their true desires. By keeping these values private, you allow them to explore what fulfillment means for them personally, building a life that aligns with their own values rather than one that conforms to what they think you admire. It's also worth noting that sharing private aspirations can lead to feelings of resentment over time. If a child feels pressured to pursue a path that doesn't feel authentic, they might come to resent the influence they believe you exerted over their life choices. This resentment can manifest in strained relationships, as they struggle with the tension between honoring your hopes and asserting their own independence. Even if they ultimately follow their own path, the knowledge that they diverged from what you envisioned can create a lingering feeling of resistance, as they perceive every decision as a departure from your ideal. By keeping your dreams private, you spare them this conflict, allowing them to embrace their own journey without feeling as though they're rebelling against you or disappointing you in some way. Instead of sharing specific aspirations, focus on supporting their autonomy and self-discovery. Rather than conveying expectations, convey encouragement and curiosity. When they share their dreams or struggles with you, ask questions that encourage them to dig deeper, helping them clarify their own goals and motivations. For instance, if they're considering a career change or a major life decision, ask them how they feel about it, what excites them, and what they hope to achieve. Show enthusiasm for their journey, not because it aligns with any particular vision you held, but because it represents who they are becoming. This approach reinforces that your love and support are unwavering, regardless of the direction they choose, and that their life is truly their own to shape. By expressing interest in their individuality, you create an environment of acceptance and respect that allows them to pursue their path with confidence and authenticity. If they ask you directly about your hopes for them, consider framing your response in terms of universal values rather than specific outcomes. You might say something like, "I've always hoped that you would find happiness, that you'd pursue what makes you feel fulfilled, and that you'd live a life true to who you are." This kind of answer emphasizes values like happiness, fulfillment, and authenticity without tying them to any particular career, lifestyle, or achievement. It reassures them that your hopes for them aren't conditional on specific outcomes, but are rooted in a desire for their well-being and satisfaction. This type of response leaves them feeling supported rather than confined, allowing them to interpret your hopes in a way that aligns with their unique journey. In choosing to keep your private aspirations unspoken, you're giving your children the space to discover themselves independently of your expectations. This act of love allows them to embrace their own vision for their lives, confident in the knowledge that your support is not contingent on fulfilling any particular dream you may have held. It's a gift that enables them to fully step into their own lives, knowing that they have your unwavering support without any strings attached. This respect for their autonomy fosters a relationship grounded in mutual understanding and trust, free from the shadow of silent expectations. By letting go of the need to share these aspirations, you demonstrate an enduring respect for their individuality, honoring the unique path they're carving for themselves. Ultimately, the most profound way you can support your children is by showing them that you're proud of who they are, not who they might have been if they had taken a different path. By embracing their choices wholeheartedly and celebrating their successes, big or small, you communicate that your love isn't conditional on any specific achievement or lifestyle. This acceptance frees them to pursue their lives with confidence, knowing they have a parent who values them for exactly who they are. This bond, rooted in unconditional love and respect, is more powerful than any aspiration could ever be. In the end, keeping your private dreams private preserves the integrity of their journey, allowing them to write their own story with courage, authenticity, and the freedom to live life on their own terms. Secret number 7. Legacy decisions that aren't finalized yet. As we age, it's natural to start thinking about the legacy we'll leave behind. This often includes making plans for things like finances, property, and sentimental possessions, ensuring that these will be passed down in a way that reflects our values and provides security for our loved ones. Perhaps you've already started thinking about your will, estate planning, or other legacy decisions, or maybe you're in the process of discussing these matters with financial advisors and legal professionals. While it might seem helpful or even considerate to share these plans with your children early on, especially to prepare them or involve them in the decision-making process, revealing legacy decisions that aren't yet finalized can lead to confusion, misunderstandings, and even unintended conflicts. In fact, keeping these discussions private until everything is finalized can help maintain peace and avoid unnecessary strain within your family. One of the primary reasons to withhold legacy information until it's set in stone is the emotional impact it can have on your children. When you share preliminary ideas about your estate or how you plan to divide your assets, your children may interpret this as a fixed promise or assume that things will remain as you initially mentioned. For instance, if you hint at plans to leave a particular property or heirloom to one child, they may come to expect this, feeling emotionally invested in what they believe will be part of their future. However, as circumstances change, be it through financial shifts, changes in relationships, or simply a reassessment of your wishes, you might find yourself needing to adjust these decisions. If you've already shared your initial intentions with your children, these changes can lead to disappointment or feelings of betrayal as they struggle to understand why your plans have shifted from what they were initially led to believe. By waiting until everything is finalized, you spare them the emotional roller coaster of expectations, ensuring that when they do learn of your decisions, they receive the complete picture without any unresolved or conflicting information. Additionally, sharing legacy plans prematurely can create tension or rivalry among siblings, even if that was never your intention. Family members can have different expectations and interpretations of what is fair or appropriate when it comes to inheritance, and hearing about these plans before they're finalized can ignite feelings of competition or resentment. Imagine, for instance, that one child learns they're slated to inherit a larger share due to specific reasons, such as taking on caregiving responsibilities or having a particular financial need. Even if this decision is well-founded, other siblings may feel hurt or envious, perceiving it as favoritism. These feelings can fester over time, leading to tension not only between siblings, but also between them and you. By revealing inheritance plans only once they're fully settled and legally documented, you minimize the chance of these rivalries forming, as the decisions will appear fixed, balanced, and thoughtfully considered, rather than open to interpretation or negotiation. Another reason to wait until legacy plans are finalized is to protect the flexibility and autonomy you need to make adjustments as life unfolds. Estate planning is not a one-time decision. It often evolves to reflect changes in circumstances, family dynamics, and personal values. If you share your intentions prematurely, you might feel pressured to keep things exactly as you initially discussed, fearing that changing them will lead to disappointment or conflict. This sense of pressure can limit your ability to make necessary adjustments that align with your current needs and wishes. For example, you might wish to make additional provisions for a child who encounters unforeseen financial difficulties, or alter your plans to reflect new relationships, such as grandchildren or blended family members. Keeping your plans private until they're finalized allows you the freedom to adjust as needed, without feeling beholden to earlier conversations that may no longer align with your intentions. Sharing preliminary legacy information can also lead to unintended financial implications for your children. When adult children become aware of potential inheritances, they may unconsciously factor these expected assets into their own financial planning. They might assume that they'll receive a particular property or sum of money and begin making life decisions based on this assumption, perhaps choosing a particular home, investment, or career path under the assumption that their inheritance will supplement their income or savings. If the legacy ultimately differs from their expectations due to necessary adjustments or unforeseen circumstances, they may find themselves in a difficult financial position, having made choices that no longer align with their actual resources. By waiting to share legacy information until everything is finalized, you help prevent them from relying on assumptions that might never come to fruition, encouraging them to make financial decisions based on their own present reality. One of the greatest gifts you can give your family is clarity, and the best way to achieve this is to finalize your legacy plans before discussing them. When your estate planning is complete and legally documented, you can present it as a clear, unchangeable plan that reflects your wishes in their entirety. This finality provides your children with a sense of security, allowing them to process the information without questioning what might still change or whether they should advocate for different arrangements. If disputes or concerns arise after everything is settled, they are easier to manage because the decisions are already established, backed by the thoughtfulness and thoroughness you put into finalizing them. This clarity can help preserve family harmony, as it reduces the likelihood of siblings or other relatives feeling slighted or uncertain about your intentions. If you feel it's necessary to involve your children in certain aspects of your estate planning, consider discussing general principles rather than specific allocations. For instance, you might talk to them about the values that guide your decisions, such as your desire to ensure everyone is cared for equally or to provide additional support where it's needed most. This kind of discussion offers them insight into your thought process without creating rigid expectations. You can share that your goal is to create a legacy that reflects both fairness and practicality, without delving into specifics that could change before everything is finalized. This approach allows them to understand the why behind your decisions without attaching themselves to specific outcomes, giving them insight into your values while preserving the flexibility to make adjustments as needed. Another approach is to prepare a written document explaining your legacy decisions, which can be shared with your children only after everything is finalized. This document might include not just the financial or material allocations, but also the reasoning behind them, ensuring that your children fully understand your intentions and the thoughtfulness that went into each decision. By explaining your choices in this way, you can provide context, addressing potential misunderstandings before they arise. For example, If one child receives a larger share due to specific circumstances, you can explain that this decision was based on practical considerations rather than favoritism. This kind of transparency can prevent feelings of resentment or confusion, as it allows your children to see the bigger picture behind each choice. Ultimately, waiting until legacy decisions are finalized before sharing them is an act of love and respect. It preserves the stability of your family dynamics, minimizes the potential for rivalry or disappointment, and prevents your children from forming expectations that may not come to pass. By withholding this information until everything is settled, you're ensuring that your legacy is received with clarity, finality, and understanding. It allows your children to process your intentions fully, with a clear picture of what you envisioned for them, and without the emotional turbulence of shifting plans. In the end, the legacy you leave is not just about material possessions. It's also about the peace, respect, and love you cultivate in your family. By managing how and when you share your legacy plans, you help protect the bonds between your children, preserving family harmony and ensuring that your legacy truly reflects your deepest intentions. When the time comes to share these plans, your children will receive them not as a source of tension or conflict, but as a reflection of your thoughtfulness, care, and enduring love. This is the most profound legacy of all, the gift of a united, understanding family, supported by the values and memories you leave behind. As we've explored each of these 7 secrets, it becomes clear that the decision to hold back certain things from your children isn't about deception or withholding love. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's an act of love, maturity, and protection, a way of nurturing the health and stability of your family relationships. When we think about the legacy we want to leave for our children, it's easy to focus on tangible elements, financial security, family heirlooms, and even words of wisdom we hope they'll remember. But perhaps the most valuable legacy we can offer is the strength and resilience of the family bond itself. By choosing carefully what to share and what to keep private, you're giving your children a gift far greater than any single piece of advice or disclosure. You're providing them with the freedom to live without unnecessary burdens, the security of stable family dynamics, and the clarity of unconditional love. Keeping certain secrets doesn't mean shutting out your children or building walls between you. It's about creating healthy boundaries that preserve respect, individuality, and emotional autonomy within the family. Boundaries aren't barriers, they're bridges. They allow us to share what's meaningful and constructive without passing down stress, resentment, or fear. Imagine these boundaries as a way of safeguarding not only your well-being, but also your children's capacity to live their lives unburdened by the complexities of your own. When you decide what's best left unsaid, you're demonstrating a form of love that is conscious and selfless, a love that understands that transparency isn't always synonymous with closeness. Each of these secrets carries its own set of challenges and implications, and navigating them requires discernment. For instance, sharing financial struggles might seem like a way to bring your family closer, but it can also impose a financial and emotional burden on your children, especially if they feel pressured to step in and help. Talking about past romantic relationships might seem like a way to connect more deeply, but it can alter the way your children view you, potentially creating discomfort or reshaping the family dynamic in unexpected ways. Family conflicts and unresolved rivalries may feel like they provide context to family behaviors, but revisiting these can breed division rather than unity. Health concerns, if shared prematurely, can create a climate of worry, distracting from the moments of peace and enjoyment that still lie ahead. And unfulfilled dreams, if spoken aloud, may become unspoken expectations, pushing your children to pursue lives that mirror your regrets rather than their passions. Then there's the delicate matter of legacy and inheritance. Sharing preliminary thoughts on your estate and final wishes can feel like a way of including your children in your plans. But if these ideas are not yet solidified, it can lead to misinterpretation, expectation, and even rivalry among siblings. Each of these secrets, if revealed too soon or without careful thought, can disrupt the family's stability and harmony, shifting the natural roles and responsibilities within the family in ways that may be hard to correct. By choosing what to share and when, you're allowing each member of the family to occupy their role with clarity and dignity, free from the weight of unresolved issues, premature expectations, or burdens that aren't theirs to bear. The choice to keep certain matters private until the time is right is in itself an act of legacy. It's a way of ensuring that the legacy you leave isn't tarnished by misinterpretations, regrets, or emotional baggage. This decision is about trust, trusting your children to grow into their own lives without needing to carry every aspect of yours, trusting that your love and wisdom have equipped them to face their own challenges, and trusting that they will remember the values you instilled in them, even if they don't know every detail of your life story. By keeping some parts of your journey private, you're creating a lasting impression of strength, integrity, and respect. Your children may never know the full extent of what you chose not to share, but they will feel the stability, love, and peace that such a choice brings to the family as a whole. Let's also acknowledge that, while keeping certain things private is essential, it doesn't mean you should feel isolated in your experiences. You don't have to carry all of life's burdens alone. There are other outlets for the parts of life you feel compelled to express. Consider close friends, confidants, counselors, or even support groups that can provide a safe space for sharing without impacting your family dynamics. These alternative support systems can help you process and reflect on your journey in ways that don't pass the emotional weight onto your children. By finding healthy external ways to discuss sensitive issues, you give yourself the release and validation you may seek without affecting your family's stability. In this way, you're maintaining emotional health for yourself while protecting the emotional health of your children. Choosing privacy in certain areas also sets an invaluable example for your children. It shows them that life's complexities don't always need to be laid bare, that there's strength in self-restraint, and that some things are better dealt with internally or with trusted non-family supports. In a world that often values openness and transparency to a fault, demonstrating that privacy can coexist with authenticity is a powerful lesson. By practicing discernment in what you share, you're teaching them that they, too, have the right to create boundaries in their own lives, to protect their emotional well-being, and to make choices that honor both themselves and the people they love. In the end, what you choose not to share is as significant as what you do share. This restraint fosters an environment where family members relate to each other with fresh perspectives based on who each person is in the present, rather than being shaped by the weight of past conflicts, regrets, or unfulfilled dreams. It allows you to enjoy the moments you have together now without the distractions of what could have been or what might be. It's about living in the moment, allowing your family to focus on creating new memories, new connections, and new experiences that will serve as the true foundation of your legacy. This approach may seem challenging, especially in a society that often equates sharing with love. But true love is not about sharing every detail. It's about knowing what to share and what to keep close. It's about recognizing the responsibility that comes with parenthood, even in later stages of life, and making choices that prioritize the family's long-term well-being over momentary relief or personal validation. The decision to keep certain secrets is a testament to your commitment to your family's peace, a quiet but profound declaration that their happiness, unity, and security matter to you more than anything else. This decision reflects a deep wisdom, a recognition that sometimes the most powerful expressions of love are the things we choose to hold back for the sake of preserving harmony. So, as you reflect on these 7 secrets, consider the unique circumstances of your family, your values, and the legacy you wish to leave behind. Ask yourself, what truly serves the happiness and well-being of my loved ones? What will give them the greatest sense of peace, stability, and freedom as they move forward? By choosing carefully, by exercising discernment, and by placing their well-being at the forefront of your decisions, you're creating a legacy that transcends words, stories, or material inheritance. You're leaving them a legacy of love that's pure, unburdened, and deeply rooted in respect. It's a legacy that will be felt, cherished, and honored long after you're gone. A testament to the enduring love of a parent who knew that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is simply hold back. In choosing not to reveal everything, you preserve something even greater, the strength, harmony, and love that define your family's bond. This is your ultimate legacy,